Welcome. Today we're going to talk about lean and agile enterprise frameworks, specifically the explosive growth of the Scaled Agile Framework 4.5 to manage extremely large U.S. government agencies, portfolios, and acquisitions. Feel free to visit my website where you can get all of my latest YouTube videos, including my white papers on how to apply SAFe to extremely large U.S. government agencies. I've been a U.S. government contractor for 35 years. My background is in computer science, software engineering, and information systems, specifically on very, very large government projects like NASA's space station. I'm a career systems and software engineer. I specialize in lean and agile thinking, and I wrote the first textbooks on the ROI of CMMI as well as agile methods. Let's begin with a quote by Sun Tzu about 2,500 years ago on strategy versus tactics. He said that the strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory, while tactics without strategy is the noise before the defeat. And that statement could never have been more prophetic then as it is today, specifically as it applies to lean and agile thinking and portfolio management frameworks like the Scaled Agile Framework 4.5. Let's examine a definition of portfolio management by the Project Management Institute. A portfolio is an aggregate of an organization's vision, mission, strategy, and objectives, as well as operational elements which people often forget, along with its programs and projects and organizational resources. Therefore, portfolio management is the process of designing a portfolio of operations, programs, and projects in order to satisfy these the strategy and objectives in order to achieve efficiency, effectiveness, and business value. This brings us to today's subject of lean and agile portfolio management frameworks, which are really support structures or skeletal enclosures or scaffolding platforms, hypothetical models based on principles of lean and agile thinking and methods at the enterprise portfolio program and project level that embraces principles of lean thinking, product development flow, collaboration, teamwork, iterative development, and responding to change, as well as a modicum of planning and architecture with a sharp focus on product quality in order to achieve business value. People often forget that SAFe is a values or principles-based framework or paradigm. Let's examine some of these. Respect for people and culture. Everything begins with respect. A focus on principles of product development flow, efficiency, effectiveness, cycle time, relentless product and service innovation, continuous improvement. It's not just establishing one system, but making the system better and better. And of course, servant leadership and a sharp focus on market, business, and customer value. People must remember that agile methods date back at least 25 years, to the advent of Scrum in the early 90s, extreme programming, even crystal methods and lean and kanban, but they all really kind of have their beginnings in the new product development game, which emerged in the mid 1980s, which gave rise to rapid systems development, new development rhythm, rapid application development, and even participatory design. People must also remember that the U.S. government is also an early adopter of lean and agile thinking, along with iterative development in the 70s and 80s, concurrent engineering in the 80s and 90s, spiral development, and in the 1990s and early 2000s, lean and agile thinking around 2010, and even CI/CD and DevOps around 2020 or the current era. People should also realize that U.S. Federal lawmakers have been incorporating lean and agile thinking into acquisition policy for at least a decade, beginning with the Federal CIO Council in 2010, the Office of Management and Budget in 2012, including the GAO, U.S. Digital Service and U.S. Digital Service Agency in 2014. Office of Federal Procurement Policy and U.S. Digital Service in 2015. And the list goes on and on, along with the National Defense Authorization Act in 2018. Here are the results of a recent Deloitte study of the spread of agile methods in the U.S. government. Specifically, we see that the cost of U.S. IT acquisitions is actually coming down dramatically as the spread of agile methods continue to proliferate. The average cycle time is decreasing rapidly from about more than 12 years to just about 18 months now. And obviously, we see that about 80% of U.S. government contracts are now using agile methods. Numerous models of lean and agile frameworks have emerged over the last decade or so, including Enterprise Scrum, the Scaled Agile Framework, Large-Scale Scrum, disciplined agile delivery, recipes for agile governance, and even scaled professional Scrum or Scrum at scale. However, SAFe has emerged as the clear market leader preferred by over 50% of those organizations applying lean and agile portfolio management approaches. A quick comparison of lean and agile frameworks reveals why SAFe is a clear market leader. Obviously, it's simple, well-defined. It has a web portal with lots of process and product guidance, numerous books, including more on the way, lots of metrics and measurements, training and certification. Today, there are over 200,000 certified scaled agile professionals, but more importantly, it's the preferred approach of the Fortune 500 companies and U.S. Government agencies. Of the nearly 200 U.S. government agencies, this is just a small handful that are applying or have adopting the Scaled Agile Framework, including the CIA, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, United States Courts, the General Services Administration, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, Social Security Administration, and of course the United States Postal Service. Here are a few quotes of U.S. government agencies using SAFe. Wes Hag of the U.S. Air Force said, "Moving to SAFe sped adoption of new capabilities and avoided $600 million in cost." Elizabeth Reed of the GSA said, "SAFe enabled 100% on-time delivery and nearly 100% zero defects." Mike O'Shea of the U.S. State Department said IVMV testing was completed within the actual SAFe sprints. And Scott Keenan of the Modeling and Simulation Program said he turned around a failing DoD program with SAFe in only 10 months. Let's begin our examination of SAFe with a quote by George E.P. Box. He said, "All models are wrong, but some are useful, and SAFe is one of many models for lean and agile portfolio management, which we believe has a lot of usefulness." The Scaled Agile Framework is a multi-tiered reference model for applying lean and agile thinking at the portfolio level to ensure the quality, execution, alignment, and transparency of the portfolio and its components. It contains functions for portfolio, large solution, program, and team management, like the PMI's portfolio management standard. Its purpose is to create and ensure a portfolio of programs, of projects, and operations that satisfy business objectives and achieve business value. The Scaled Agile Framework is one of the most holistic multi-tiered reference models for applying lean and agile thinking at the portfolio level, whereas Scrum has some upward elasticity and the PMI's portfolio management standard has some downward elasticity. SAFe's sweet spot is that it has functions and facilities for all levels of portfolio management, including designing the portfolio, managing large programs, individual programs, and even operations in the teams themselves. Here's a nice illustration of the traditional agile and lean triple constraints, whereas the traditional model fixes scope and varies cost and time. The agile paradigm fixes time and cost and varies the scope. However, in the lean paradigm like SAFe, we try to balance batch size, inventory, capacity, time, and variability. Here's a quick overview of SAFe anti-patterns or myths that are rapidly emerging that you must be aware of. Some people feel that SAFe is only for U.S. government agencies, not contractors. It's merely a hierarchy like the PMI's portfolio management standard, or it's a bureaucracy of a way to burden programmers or contractors with too many requirements, or worse yet, it's merely a waterfall life cycle. Rather than viewing SAFe as a hierarchy or waterfall lifecycle as we saw on the previous slide, view it more as a sashimi model of overlapping functions for portfolio, large solution, program, and team management, which are executed by a single cross-functional team, which is responsible for creating a minimum viable product for rapid implementation. Here's another way of saying the same thing. View SAFe as more of a single cross-functional team, which is responsible for portfolio, large solution, program, and team level functions, which sort of shepherd the minimum viable product through the rapid implementation lifecycle. So viewed as one team versus hierarchy, alignment of the whole team, bottom-up decision-making, lean, just-in-time, and friction-free, full transparency and communication. So envision a SAFe portfolio as having many MVPs that make it through various stages of the life cycle. One might make it through portfolio planning, but might be cost prohibitive. Another one might actually make it through large solution analysis, but its architecture might not be compatible with the portfolio. Or one might make it all the way through program planning, but simply just be reprioritized. Or maybe one MVP makes it through the entire life cycle and is filled in a matter of days, weeks, or months. Portfolio management is a very, very specific function which translates business objectives into strategic themes and identifies epic MVPs or high-value initiatives to either create new products and services or refine them and make them better. And of course, creating value streams with multiple programs that fulfill those epics. So what you want to do is you want to fund value streams versus individual projects. SAFe has the notion of a large solution level for large U.S. government projects where you would have a solution trained engineer, solution architect, solution manager to begin decomposing large epics and epic enablers into solutions to do model-based systems engineering and set-based analysis, do cost-benefit analysis, and begin identifying solutions that can be actually implemented as programs and agile release trains. Once solution sets have been identified and decomposed into programs and agile release train engineers can facilitate SAFe PI planning sessions to bring developers into the room to identify PI objectives, enablers, features, visions, architectural runways, program increments, and begin using CI/CD pipelines to deliver new products and services. At the team level, teams can choose to use XP, Scrum, Kanban, the Agile method of their choice, where they can begin decomposing features into user stories and individual story enablers, begin identifying acceptance criteria, coding, using TDD and continuous integration, continuous delivery, and begin delivering individual iterations and program increments that have business value and aligned to portfolio level initiatives. Some of the most basic SAFe metrics are the notion of lead and cycle time. Lead time begins when a new customer or market need has been identified. Cycle time begins when the development team actually begins coding the new solution, and all clocks stop when the product or service has been delivered to the market. In DoD projects, lead and cycle time were often measured in decades and even centuries, but in the information technology industry, lead and cycle times are measured in seconds and minutes, especially when CI/CD and DevOps are being used. Here's an example of SAFe in a large U.S. government healthcare agency where the first thing they did was establish a lean portfolio management team, begin identifying epic MVPs, set up a large solution team to begin doing set-based analysis and identifying high-value adding capabilities, set up 6 ARTs, began doing PI planning, synchronized iterations, and inspect and adapt sessions. Today they're in their 3rd program increment and are delivering value in days and weeks versus years and decades. Important elements of the SAFe case study are to be found in the horizontal and vertical spanning palettes. The first thing they did was establish strong lean agile leadership, SAFe values, focus on the SAFe house of lean principles, use the portfolio roadmap, have good SAFe coaching at all levels, but more importantly, they established a vision for the portfolio strategy, roadmap, governance teams, and governance roadmaps and architectural runways for each of the large solutions and individual agile release trains. Here are some of the positive impacts of this SAFe case study. In only 6 months, they've trained and certified all team members in SAFe principles, rigorously follow SAFe ceremonies every day, have rolled out SAFe PI planning twice, implemented SAFe in an automated ALM tool, practice SAFe for portfolio and program deliverables. They've established and tracked metrics and report them out automatically, and began assessing all programs and systems, and had very positive impacts on the overall portfolio and culture of the firm. Here are some lessons learned from this case study. You must consider factors critical to SAFe's success. That is, SAFe culture change really begins and ends with bold leadership. That is, leaders at all levels of the organization, at both the buyer and the supplier level. You must have lean and agile contracts and acquisition instruments. There must be some experience there. And of course, you need coaching at all levels. People often ask me, what is the business value of SAFe? Well, it's really applying lean and agile thinking at the agency, at the enterprise, at the portfolio level. It's having a well-defined and aligned portfolio of programs, of projects, of operations using just-in-time principles and even innovation principles, CI, CD, and DevOps to rapidly deliver new products and services to customers in minutes and hours and days, versus weeks, months, years, decades, or even centuries. Basic SAFe performance is about 10 times above that of traditional methods. In large portfolios and programs and teams, we see better customer satisfaction, better productivity, better quality, but more importantly, even better return on investment and better morale. In order to be successful with SAFe, especially at the portfolio or large solution level, you just really kind of need to start with the top down. You begin training all of your change agents, your executives, your managers, your leaders, identify and establish large solutions and agile release trains, and just start using it. Just start doing it. With SAFe, it's more important to just start doing the practices, just start living the practices, just start eating your own dog food, and worry about the culture change second. SAFe contains a number of built-in tools for assessing its maturity at the portfolio, a large solution program, and even team level. And there are even external tools that are starting to emerge, like Agility Health Radar, to measure the health of value delivery, lean portfolio management, the leadership of the portfolios, as well as large program management, PI planning events, PI execution, PI delivery, PI results, and planning readiness as well. SAFe is one of the fastest growing lean and agile frameworks for portfolio management, with over 200,000 trained and certified SAFe professionals globally. Over 70% of U.S. firms have SAFe trained and certified people, and over 50% of global firms that are using lean and agile frameworks prefer SAFe over competing methods. And obviously 80% of U.S. government agencies are now using agile methods, most of which mandate the use of SAFe. Please remember to take off your traditional thinking hat and note that SAFe is not merely a method of putting lipstick on a 20th century pig. Instead, SAFe is a 21st century portfolio management model for lean and agile thinking. That is a means of total organizational transformation based on principles of smaller batches, bottlenecks, and delays, or more properly, a balance of inventory capacity, time, and variability. Please remember that SAFe is a values and principle-based reference model. Don't try to turn SAFe into a rigid set of physics equations. SAFe offers a continuum of abstract process and science principles. It's really an aggregate set of lean and agile values and principles. Don't just rush into a rigid set of tangible practices that support SAFe. Remember that everything must begin and end with SAFe's values and principles. Soft concepts like conversation, visualization, even emotional intelligence, and servant leadership. In summary, SAFe is an overarching framework for lean and agile thinking, much like the U.S. Digital Services Playbook or Agile Manifesto. SAFe is used by over 200,000 people in 70% of firms, and it's preferred approach of the U.S. government. And it includes concepts for CI/CD, DevOps, application security, UX, and design of experiments. But more importantly, it supports soft skills like visualization, conversation, cooperation, collaboration, transparency, and trust. Let's close with a quote by economist Michael Porter on portfolio management. The essence of strategy is choosing what not to do, which certainly exemplifies SAFe principles. Here are just a few of the SAFe textbooks on Amazon, with new books on SAFe 4.5 due out summer 2018. Please remember to visit my website at davidfrico.com to get all of my free YouTube videos, briefings, and white papers. Thank you very much for joining me here today.